Hi, I'm Mrs. Burns and welcome to lesson 4 and the last lesson of our algebra unit. So again, please make sure you go back and you really know these words and what they mean over here as well as BEDMAS. So we do have one step to add at the beginning of these types of equations. The first thing that we need to do when you see something that looks kind of like these below, you want to multiply the number outside the brackets by all the numbers inside the brackets first so we can get rid of the brackets. And then we'll do everything else the same as what we were doing before. So let's try it. So the first thing we want to do is multiply 2 by everything inside the brackets because this is saying 2 times g plus 4. So there are the brackets. Let's multiply 2 times everything. So that means we have 2 times g plus, now 2 times 4 we know is 8 equals negative 8. So there we go, we just got rid of the brackets. 2 times g plus 8 is the same as saying 2 and then in brackets g plus 4. So now this looks a lot like what we were doing the other days. Let's first get rid of our constant and then divide or multiply to get rid of the coefficient and get our variable by itself. So the first thing we want to do is get rid of this 8, so let's minus by 8. If we do that to one side, we have to do it to the other. So 2g equals negative 8 minus 8. So 2g then equals negative 16. Now we want to get rid of that 2, so let's divide by 2 because right now it's 2 multiplied by g. If we divide this by 2, and if we do that, we can do it to the other side because this equals 1g. So 1g equals negative 16 divided by 2. And so g equals negative 8. And if you plug that back into your original formula, negative 8 plus 4 is negative 4 times 2 is negative 8. So there you go. Let's try the next one. So we're going to multiply 3 times r and then 3 times negative 2. The first one, 3 times r is 3r. Keep the minus sign. 3 times 2 is 6. And that equals 3. So now let's get rid of this 6 here by adding 6. If we do it to one side, we have to do it to the other. So 3r equals 3 plus 6. So 3r equals 9. Now to get rid of that 3, we need to divide both sides by 3. You can do it like I showed you over here, or we could do it like this. They both mean the same thing. So 3 over 3 is 1r. 9 over 3, how many times does 3 go into 9? 3 times. So r equals 3. If we plug that r back into the original equation up here, 3 minus 2 is 1. 1 times 3 is 3. Hooray! Last example. So this 2 has a negative. So we need to do negative 2 times the x and then negative 2 times the 3. So negative 2 times x is negative 2x. Negative 2 times 3 is negative 6. Right now we have minus negative 6, so you can do a fancy little plus positive 6 there. Does that make any sense? Yeah. Okay. Last example. Here we have a negative 2 in the front, so we're going to multiply this by each guy. So negative 2x is our first one. Now we see that we have minus 3. You can actually kind of keep that together, and we see that negative 2 times negative 3 is positive 6 equals 12. Let's get rid of that 6. Do it to both sides. And then so negative 2x, this equals 0, equals 12 divided by 6 is 12 minus 6. That looked like a dividing, didn't it? 12 minus 6 is 6. All right, now to get rid of that negative 2, let's divide both sides by negative 2. And negative 2 divided by negative 2 is 1x. 6 divided by negative 2 is negative 3. Now let's check this by plugging it back in. Negative 2 times negative 3 minus 3 equals 12. Does that work? Negative 3 minus 3 is negative 6. Negative 6 times negative 2 does equal positive 12. That's great. All right, let's try a word example now. Here, this has a picture to go along with it to help us. A flower garden is in the shape of a rectangle. The length of the garden is 2 meters longer than the length of the shed beside it. The width of the garden is 4. If the area is 20 meters squared, what's the length of the shed? So let's go back to something that we already know. We already know that area equals length times width. That's standard. We've done that quite a bit. let's plug in the values that we know. We know that the area is 20 meters squared. We know that the length is this side, and the length is 2 plus s. And we know that the width is this side, 4. Now we can say it like, oh, I guess we could say meters. We could say it like that, or we could make it kind of look like these do with the number right beside the bracket. So this would be the same as saying 20 equals 4, and then in brackets, s plus 2 or 2 plus s, however you want to say it. It's the same, just rearranged in the inside. 2 plus s, s plus 2, same thing. So these two are the same thing. You can say either way, however you want, but since all of the other questions look like this, that's how we're going to do it today. So let's plug in this 4, multiply it by each thing inside the brackets. So 20 equals 4 times s is 4s, plus 4 times 2 is 8. Now to get rid of this 8, we need to minus 8 from both sides because this equals 0. So minus 8. 20 minus 8 is 12 equals 4s. Now to get rid of that 4 and get s all by itself, because the question said what's the length of the shed, so we want to figure out s here, then we're going to divide both sides by 4. 4 goes into 12 3 times, so I'm going to go 12 divided by 4 is 3 equals s, or s equals 3. And another way that you can say that is with words the length of the shed. So shed length is 3 meters. Let's double check, because if it indeed is 3 meters, then the area should still equal 20. So 20 is our area. Area equals length times width. Does 20 equal 3 plus 2 times 4? So 3 plus 2 is 5 times 4. And yes, that does indeed equal 25 times 4 would give us an area of 20. So yes, the shed is 3 meters in length. All right, we are going to practice this a lot more in class next day.